Nuno Lemos Pires, Army Colonel, PhD, is currently assigned as Command of Cadets and Professor at the Portuguese Military Academy in Lisbon, Portugal. He holds a PhD in History, Defence and International Relations, a Master degree in Military Science, a postgraduate in Military History, BA in Human Resources Management and a Royal College diploma. He served in several units, including as a platoon and company commander in Infantry School, Military History and Strategy Professor at the PRT War College, as Intel Officer in NATO Rapid Deployable Corps, Spain, as AMEA to the Commander at Joint Command Lisbon, as Mechanized Battalion Commander in the PRT Mechanized Brigade, as Training Director at the Combined Arms School. During his assignments, he participated in missions in Mozambique, Angola, Pakistan, Ethiopia and Afghanistan. With 8 books published, he cooperated in more than 100 books, articles and projects written in Portuguese, Spanish and English, especially related to military history, strategy and international relations. Has published many articles in academic magazines and gave lectures in Portugal, Germany, Bulgaria and Spain.
Good morning. Hope that I can awake some of you if you have been enjoying the Lisbon's life yesterday, because as I was walking out my home, my 2 daughters were coming in at 1 o'clock in the morning, so we just say briefly hi. Hopefully they are sleeping tonight, but it's crazy nights in Lisbon, you know, when we're talking about these days. Anyway, let's accelerate a little bit to the digital era of accelerations, and let me try to give you an idea what I'm going to try to do. So, we are talking about commanders, not leaders. So this is the first distinction that I would like to make. And to be a commander is much more than a leader in our military realm, and the reason is very simple. If you are a leader, sometimes you can choose a team, you can choose the people working with you, and you can make some terms. We cannot. We dress up in a uniform and we serve our military, and we lead the people that are given to us. That's it. And we had to do it in English, we had to do it international, multicultural, we have to do it in every place with whoever they gave us to command to. And so it's all kinds of missions 24/7. We cannot strike. We cannot go and say, I'm not going to work today. That's not possible. We are in the military, so all of this makes a little bit of a change. And that's it. So basically, talking about commanders is not exactly the same thing we're talking about leaders. It's a little bit more. A commander needs to be ready to command whatever they are giving to him. So you can either choose the mission nor the team, and we have to work with that. That said, let me work a little bit before going to digital commanders and the evolution. Well, if you look, this is going to be very brief, but think about it. When we're talking about in the old ages, we think in the beginning of the war, a soldier was just another piece of the machine. We just wanted them to go, you know, Greek wars, old wars. In 3,000, 4,000 years ago, it was more or less like you have someone part of the machine, and the machine will be working very hard, so side by side, shoulder to shoulder, and as long as they didn't run away, that's okay. They would fight. Then that changed a lot with the Roman Empire. It changed a lot with the Roman Empire because all the Roman ethos was built on an idea that a citizen is the same as a soldier. So if you want to be part of the Roman Empire, you have to be part and ready to fight for it. So the senators would be the generals, and everything was related to a conscience of a nation. So I am a soldier of the nation, defend my nation when it needs to be. Of course, I'm talking about a brief period of 200, 300 years, because then you had a little part of the decadence of the Roman Empire after the 1st century and 2 centuries of Christ age. So, change a little bit. Then we added a little bit of complications when we added the motivation of religion on top of many of the campaigns. Crusaders, Mongol activities, and all of that happened in the 14th, 15th, 16th century, that added a little bit of an ideological perspective to say that sometimes the soldier was an instrument of God. And that changed a little bit also the idea and the perspective of a soldier. Then came Napoleon Bonaparte. And when came Napoleon Bonaparte, he said, Levez, masse, égalité, fraternité, liberté. Everything changed a little bit, but basically because we needed more people. We needed huge armies. So the huge armies meant going from huge armies of the Prussian army, for instance, that was around 40,000 soldiers, that was a huge army. And with Napoleon, we're talking about 500,000. So the Napoleon army that goes, the Grande Armée that goes to Russia, had 500,000 soldiers. So you need numbers, so volunteer is not enough. So you enter a new age, you need conscription. So you need to have a levée masse, you need to have the nation in arms, you need to have a lot of different concepts. So what happened? For the first time in history, you need to have professionals, whole completely dedicated to this cause of arms. That's where military academies like our own showed up in the 18th century. So you need to have a profile to prepare with high skills a different set of citizens to dedicate their life exclusively to do the arms trade. And at the same time, with Cantwell, Clausewitz, Jomini, and all of the thinkers, you had staff. So commanding was about being a leader, being a commander, and having the right staff to help you to decide well. So everything that happened in these ideas, it was a little bit of a balance. In one hand, you'll find Lawrence of Arabia, romantic leaders. You'll find von Lettow-Vorbeck, for instance, the German genius of the guerrilla warfare. And at the same time, you needed scientific commanders that used the staff to make the best they could to achieve the best solutions. So it was all about merging things that were happening. And, of course, everything that happened in the field happened in the media as well. The beginning of the First World War, you would have the media showing up. So what happened in the field happened also in the public perception. Things change. So let me make a huge jump to 1991 and talk about the Gulf War. For the first time, a soldier was not only a dot in the field, he was a dot in the screen. Meaning that you could know what he was doing, where he was staying. It's not yet the digital perception that we have today, interacting and trading information. It's not that. It's a way of making sure that you have the right person in the right time, but it doesn't mean that you were able to communicate with them. There was not internet in that sense of Internet of Things working in 1991, but you could have a global picture, a precise picture of everyone in the battlefield all the time. And that made a huge difference in the Gulf War. So when you go for the nowadays, and of course the big change was 9/11, that's why you have the picture on the side, because that changed a lot of mentalities and ways of operating, especially in the military realm. We go from guerrilla commanders, that's what you needed in Afghanistan, that's what you needed, of course, in Vietnam, and people saying no more Vietnam, no more Afghanistan, that would say that, the Russians would say that in the 80s, but you needed to go back there, because counterinsurgency was back especially after 9/11. So that's where a new doctrine is developed called the airline battle. That's all about digital. You need to control, you have digital divisions, you have digital warfare. So all of these words appeared for the first time. And then we had the notion that one soldier could have the power to enforce strategic decisions. That's where the expression strategic soldier showed up for the first time. Why? Because he, with a good device, with strong communications to a political leader, could change the arena, could change the scenario just for his own individual action. And that made a very big change. Because right now you could have a soldier in the field with a screen communicating directly with a live stream to the political leader to say, do that. And that's a huge difference. Anyway, one of the evolutions, and I think it was a very good evolution for this future, was no more you could isolate military from civilians. That Huntington-Janowitz, it was a kind of a discussion that happened in the end of the 20th century, was no longer feasible. You need to have a close contact between all components that makes comprehensive approach feasible. Meaning, you have to have political, economical, social, and military action all coming together and dealing together, working together, side by side, because none of them are important and none of them can solve anything without the cooperation of the others. And that, of course, it was also a change of mentalities that we have to embrace in the 21st century. So, this was just a brief introduction to say, welcome to 2017. And the world is not a pretty place to live on. And it's not a pretty place to live on because although some people, very egocentric, think that we are living better than we used to be, especially in Europe, United States, Australia, what we call the Western world, the world is not working well. We have the record of people in hunger, 108 million. You just see the UN report that came last month. It's a record. 2015 it was 80 million people. Now we are talking about 108 million people. 20 million people in 4 countries. Yemen, Somalia, South Sudan and Nigeria. That's a terrible, terrible West. But because there is no media in many of these places, we don't see that much. We don't feel that much because it's too dangerous zones. People don't go there any longer. Because we don't have the money to invest on those places, we don't have the resources to be there, and the major networks don't send reporters there because they get kidnapped. So they're not CNN reporters over there. So there is no CNN effect in Darfur. Only when Angelina Jolie goes there once a year, and that's it. When she goes back, no more Darfur, and nobody hears about what's happening there. So basically, just to give you a little bit of numbers, yes, we have lots of problems in the world. And since 2011, 1.5 million people have been killed because of conflicts around the world. So it's not like 20,000, it's 1.5. We have to have these numbers because 75% of these people killed are not soldiers. They are non-combatants, innocent civilians, women and children included. So let's look at the future. What do we know? We know what we don't know. We know that in the future it's going to be uncertainty in economics, in many other areas of society. Change is going to be the main word we're going to use to. So we are used to it. It's going to be change. At the same time, it's going to be a globalized world because of the people, because of the interactions, because we need each other, because everything is interconnected with everything. But that you know. Then we are forced more and more and more to have shared spaces. You know, you can talk about national decisions, but you cannot enforce national decisions in shared spaces. So 89% of all the trade goes by sea, the sea doesn't belong to anyone. And of course, you're talking about space, you're talking about the skies, you're talking about cyber. The cyber dimension is not owned by anyone. Of course, everyone wants to own something, but you cannot. And we are talking about, Thomas Friedman is one of them, and many people we're talking about new technologies in the age of acceleration, and I will go a little bit more deep on that. So I'm going to start with the bad news. Bad news is what I call the disruptive factors. 3 of them, maybe 4, when you call it inequality a little bit. You say, well, this happened always in the history of mankind. No, this is new, brand new. We really never need to deal with this issue before. It's the first time in our human history that we really have to face these challenges because it's new. It's new because of the dimension, the implications, and because it's a kind of an atomic bomb. We can't disappear as a planet. So why is this important? First of all, I advise you, if you want to have a brief notion of this, just go to TED Talks and see Rockstrom doing his briefing. But if you want to read it, see internet, go to the 9 boundaries of the planet. This was a scientific issue that was made in Nature in 2009, and basically says, well, this is what we can do and we cannot do to be sure that we have a planet to live on. And you can have climate changes deniers, but right now it's more or less like 2% of the whole scientists. 98% of the scientists around the world know that climate changes are happening. And we all know it's happening, we just don't know how hard it is. So basically the problem is, what we have now? We have a problem with the planet, yes. We don't have fresh water for many people. We do have heating appearing, and some of the things is already there. It's in red because we already passed the limits, the boundary of the planet. We're supposed to have 90% of biodiversity, and we are now under 84% of biodiversity. We're supposed to have at least 75% of all the forests we had in the beginning of the industrial age, and now we are down to 62% of the industrial ages. And then you think about it. When you think about countries, rivers like Nile's river, or you think about Brahmaputra, you think about Ganges and Indus rivers in India, where you have more than 3 billion people living from those rivers, and you know that the water of those rivers are diminishing, are more polluted, and more people depending on that. In the delta of the river Nile, you have 20 million people living on it, and the salt water is coming in and destroying the whole crops of it. So everything is bad, but it's not bad enough when you add the population. In the beginning of the 20th century, we had 1.6 billion people living in the planet. 1.6 billion. In the end of the 20th century, we had 6.1. Right now, we are 7.7. And in 2053, we will be 10 billion people. 10 billion people is not only 10 times bigger than the beginning of the 21st century. It also means that each of these citizens spends more resources, 9 times more than a citizen from the beginning of the 20th century, because now you have electricity, you have power, you drive a car, you use internet. So it's like this, you're living in a 60-60 planet. What does it mean, 60-60? You live 60 kilometers from the shore, you live 60% in cities. In 1950, only 30% lived in cities. So you have these huge cities, a lot of people, growing, less resources with a sick planet. So we have a global problem, we have a global threat, and we need global solutions. So let's join together and make a decision, right? Well, that's the problem. That's the third biggest problem we have in our world. Never the power was so dispersed, decadent, and completely isolated from the main decision. Moses Naim, a book called The End of Power. I recommend that book. Because really, it's about some companies that show up and disappear and they produce profits sometimes 10, 20 times bigger than the GDP of Portugal. And you don't know who are in charge of those companies, you don't know who's ruling them and what they're doing, because that's the way things are done right now. So you have micropowers, you have a lot of corruption going around the world, you don't have no longer one country ruling the world, although I think Mr. Donald Trump would like to, but he's not in charge of the whole world, and we have a multipolar world, and we have not yet understood what has been in international relations. So then you have a lot of sects and distinctions and things, so you don't have what you call a contact. Who do I email to? Who am I going to talk to? That's the huge problem. We don't know. And then we have this kind of new actors that are not states, that are not understates, that are not completely rogue states, that we don't know exactly what they are, but they are very, very powerful. They make the world stop. One guy in Westminster Bridge killed 4 and injured 50. Stopped the whole world for 1 week. Stalled all of them. One guy, one night, one truck. And you think about it, is that only the terrorist effect or is it more? We're talking about a lot of groups that want cowards. They want to rule what they can rule. And that is a new problem for us. Because they use what we call the sum or the adding of problems. Usually, where bad things happen, meaning that other very bad things are happening. So you have Boko Haram where? Well, you have Boko Haram in a fragile state, where you have no water, no food, and of course you have no rule of law, and you have organized crime, and you have, like Libya and places like that. So usually, all of the bad things happen in the same place. Northern of Congo, Mali, Somalia, all of these places that are feeling the worst scenarios of climate change, the biggest growth in demographic, and at the same time, fragile states, corrupt states, problems, wars, civil wars, terrorist groups happening, Al-Shabaab or Boko Haram, and all of that. So, let's go to the digital dimension now. What we know. We know that they are very, very, very much ahead of us. They know how to use it. And they know how to use it, but not in the perspective that they think about it. It's, oh well, let's use the internet to communicate. Usually I say, that's not important. I really don't care if the terrorism use Telegram or deep web or dark web. I always did. That is not new. But what I know is the magazine Dabik over there was downloaded 200 million times. And that is the magazine from the Islamic State. Now they have the Rumia. It comes up every month, in the beginning of the month. Unfortunately, you write Rumia and it shows immediately in your screens. Shouldn't have happened that way. It's hugely aggressive. It's intolerant. It's barbaric. It's everything that we hate, but it's there. And what do they say? Well, 3 dimensions of the use of the internet. One is communication, yes, but it's not the most important. The most important is propaganda. But most important than that is you can track people, you can locate people, you can reference people, and you can intimidate them. In many countries around the world, you use Facebook not to help your social life, but to intimidate people, showing pictures they don't want to be shown, and making sure that you are not part of the groups of being dead or being or not dead. Intimidation online is like bullying in the streets. It's getting worse and worse, and it's affecting millions of people. That happens every day. And if you go, what you see there, it's unbelievable what you can get from the internet just writing some words. You want to be a lone wolf? 92 pages, how to be a lone wolf. You write this title, you show up. Okay, this is written in 20 different languages. It's terrible English, by the way. It's Google Translator, but anyway, it's there. Of course this is there. This is the inside of the Room magazines. How to use a knife, how to kill people on the streets, how to use a van. This was issued 3 weeks before Berlin attack. It's there. The best truck, how fast should you drive, where to attack the people, what's the best targets, you know. Just choose the right people, drunken, someone alone, and don't let you sleep. You know, depriving them of a peaceful sleep. It's much worse than this. If you want to try, just go online and check this out. It's really bad. But this gives another dimension of what we're talking about. Sometimes we only look at the information communication gap, but it's not that. So we are facing a real change. And the real change is Moore's law had changed in 2007, they say, with Intel, they say it was with the smartphone. I don't know what happened, but we know that happened is this Moore's law change means that we don't have the social capacity to adapt as fast as technology adapts. So that's a fact. So that's a fact right now that we don't allow time enough for people to adapt to technology. And we have to do it with that. The second dimension is, fortunately, luckily, many governments, and this is an example of India, but many governments around the world are making sure that nobody gets excluded by technology. So the ASCA tablets that you know that costs around $30, but you can buy it in India for $1 a month, so make sure that everybody has access to that. But that doesn't mean that we have information. It means you have communication. As Thomas Friedman said in the book, we are building a lot of echo chambers. You go online on Facebook, you have a group of friends that think like you. You watch the same TV channels, you have the same opinions, so you really don't interact. You just say, I like what you think, that you think like me. And I read what you read, and you read like me. So you're not having cultural exchange if you're not careful. We are having a group of friends online on Facebook that are agreeing with you all the time. And probably you only see the same TV channel. You know, if you like music, you watch MTV. If you like sports, you watch Sport TV, because you can do it, and you have it streaming online. So you don't really need to know about the rest of the world. So sometimes you have not information, but communication. So it's good, it's there. But another thing, very, very, very positive, is things like the Cat Academy. If you cannot go to school, you have a complete package online where you can learn everything. The best practice in the world. It's there. It's free. And that is teaching people around the world. So now, right now we have is, of course, we have many people that are forced to dislocate. Sometimes they feel completely obsolete and not updated because they don't feel the need for change and they don't see what is happening in the world. So this is good side and the bad side of the solution that we're looking at all. Because we know we are living in a brave new world. This world is not the same it was in 2016. In 365 days, our world has changed dramatically. Do you need a lawyer? Yeah, go to IBM, Watson. Online you'll have the answers. 90% of the lawyers will disappear with this track. Oh, I need to go to the doctor. Go to the tricolor, yes. You know, it's a smartphone device, can take your blood, can smell your problems, can look at your eye, and do stuff like that. Is that feasible? It's working. The thing we know right now is things are really changing very fast. And many of these things that are hearing right now, of course it's good. It's really good news because we can do a lot of things without wasting scarce water. We can have fresh water where we didn't have before. So it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, it changed dramatically. So the title of my presentation was Digital Commanders at the Age of the Accelerations, and we were thinking about, isn't he going to talk about that? As probably as you've seen, and now this last part of my presentation is about conclusions. First thing, we need to, that's what we try to do here with our cadets, is we need cultural leaders. We don't need technicians, we don't need, just leaders. We need to be cultural leaders. Never, like before, we need people to understand history, international relations. You can no longer go to a kid that is 21 years old and he doesn't have a clue or an idea where Yemen is. Or Somalia. Oh, talking about the crisis in Qatar. Where is Qatar? If you are 20 years old, you should be forced to point on the map immediately where the problem is happening. But the majority of the people around the world have no idea about geography, have no idea about history, never heard about the Ottoman Empire, never heard about, development of new states. They have no idea about the ages of some nations. And that is mandatory to understand the future. Second dimension is, it's all about values. Strong attitudes and values makes a difference. If you have a strong code and you believe in your society, that makes a difference. So we need open minds, creativity with new visions, and we need to think about generational priorities, not for priorities for the next year, for the next 25 years, or for the next 50 years. That makes a difference. So, talking about the military life, because talking about digital commanders and talking war, yes, also in the military realm, everything changes very fast. Many of the dimensions of the military realm right now is cyber offensive, long-range precision capabilities. Right now, every country in the world can have defense capability. And if you go to military balance 2017, we are spending much more money in weaponry than we used to. The world is spending more money in armament. That's a fact. So what are the big changes? The big changes is, for the first time, you all heard about Army, Navy, and Air Force, right? Right now, if you go to many countries, you have Army, Navy, Air Force, Cyber Command, Cyber Command, Strategic Command, Space Command. You even have Counter-Radicalization Command, because people are beginning finally to read about the magazines from Islamic State and Al-Qaeda, and now they're having 2,000, 3,000 people doing the counter-narrative, And because of climate change, you can have an Arctic Command in Russia, because it's open. The ice has melted and now you can go in. So a lot of things are changing and you can see it, for instance, in the exercises. These are all open sources, and I'm not using any secret information. You can read this in the news. If you see the last big exercise from the United States Armed Forces, they have 4 scenarios they are testing for 2030. And you can have a perspective of what is going to happen in the world by these exercises. What do they think? They think that in the future, Europe will be fighting a peer-near enemy, meaning, again, conventional warfighting. In the Middle East, it will go as usual. expeditionary operations, in and out, trying to fix things and then letting it rot them again. That's my opinion. Then you can have deterrence in Asia and Pacific, of course. The scenario still stopped them. North Korea, of course, but not only. But amazingly, all the countries are very much worried now inside problems. Climate change, fires, droughts, hurricanes, and of course terrorism, social degradation, and something like this. This is happening more because of the people, because of the climate, because of the terrorism, because of all of that we talked before. This is a new dimension. 10 years ago, I was in the army, never heard about doing scenarios like this. Today, it's mandatory. So, what are the armed forces around the world doing? They're looking at cyber. It's all about having digital soldiers that use, of course, very much connected with civilians. Civilian and military are not apart any longer. And I think that's wonderful. Using the best of the technology and sometimes what you don't see. And so what we try to do here in the Military Academy as an idea to prepare digital commands for the age of accelerations. First of all, we want to teach our cadets that social network is not a threat. We want them to go online, use Facebook, use Instagram, use everything you have. Just have good ethics and think about what you are doing. It's an opportunity, not a threat. So we don't say you are forbidden to use, no, not at all. We have Wi-Fi in the Military Academy. We want them to use it. We just want to make sure that they know how to use it. Use it in the benefit of them and in the benefit of the institution. That's it. Second thing is, you see too much of our youngest staying alone with our tablet, not speaking with each other. So we try to force a little bit of a balance. Go to the bar, sit with together, put your smartphone and talk with each other. But again, no problem going back to the room and then having your Skype conference with your family and with your friends. That's okay. Let's balance things. Just not choose one or the other. Live completely isolated or live completely with the other one. So be imaginative, adaptive to any technology that has appeared, and make sure that right now we know air, space, land, and water is the same as cyber. All of these are dimensions of our world. They are not different any longer. But then again, there are things that never change. This is what we call consistent values. Here in the Military Academy since 1790, we want our cadets to think for themselves. So critical thinking is part of our motto. Think what to ask, not think how to teach how to think, This is very important for us. The first day they come in, we want them to doubt everything. Why should we have a military? Why are we called Portugal? Why do we have a flag? Why need to have distinctions? Why do we need to salute? It's not telling him salute, it's asking, do you think you should salute an officer? Everything we ask from day one, because you need critical thinking. We need them to be completely different from each other. We don't want a flock of soldiers. We want an army of different soldiers, everyone thinking by themselves. It's synergy that counts, not individuality. So we want everyone to be... So we let them make mistakes. And we want them to make mistakes as long as they are serious. But wrongdoing is taking part of risks, So in the end of the Military Academy life, we have here a system of punishments, but when they end, everything is erased and you start again fresh life in the army. Because we want them to try and to make mistakes. And of course, it's all about this. Law is the law. Law is to be respected. I don't agree with the law, okay, but you will follow the law. Because you wear a uniform and you have to. International law, international rights, international law, that's mandatory. Can I discuss? Yes. Can I ask why? Yes. Can I ask you to change? Yes. But at the same time, comply. So, what we need in the future, we need digital teams. Be aware of some things. From war, 9 boundaries of the planet. It's it's not because of technology that you're going to solve every problem. Yes, there are technology solutions for giving more water, maybe downsizing the levels of pollution. Yes, you have a lot of solutions, but basically, human stupidity cannot be stopped by technology. You can only stop human stupidity by human action. And that is not in technology, that is in ethics. So everyone has to be prepared for radical change. One day I'm prepared for one thing and I have to be sure that the next day everything is completely obsolete. Radical change will be the motto of the future years. As long as you have strong ethics, ethos, values, you don't have nothing to fear. Like Thomas Friedman said in his book, and I already talked about his book, Thank You for Being Late, that's the name of the book. You need to know that anxiety gap goes with lifelong learning. So you have to embrace your life thinking that you have to learn all your life. All your life. And if you are 108, you still have to learn. And that's good. And that's good. Because what you need is dynamic stability, meaning you have to be stable. If you are dynamic, that's the only stability you get. You have to be ready for change. So, my last slide. Digital commanders in the age of accelerations. Well, you have big data. Oh yes, we have big data. And you have, of course, strategic scenarios. What you need to do is, you have to know how to use it. You have to you have to be smart, you have to be intuitive, and you have to update completely the strategic scenarios of what's going to happen in the world. Because what you read right now is shared visions with your people, in your teams, in your groups, not orders. You need to have shared vision. You have to make sure that everybody understands in the group that you're working with, they understand where you want to go, what's the end state, where do you want to get. But at the same time, because talking about big data and updating strategic scenarios, we don't want to keep just doing with intentions, you have to have clear visions. So, it's kind of a paradox. But in a military life, it's very easy. This is strategic level, this is tactical level. Meaning, when you're talking about institutions and making the principles for your institution, you have to have shared visions. When you're talking about day-by-day activity, you have to be very clear what you want your group to achieve. So as long as you know that you are talking about two different dimensions, things can merge perfectly. So in the end, what you need is people to be credible in action. Meaning, you have the skills, you have the technology, you understand them, you know how to use it. Second, you are not afraid of taking risks. So you have to be bold at innovation. But the most important is, it's all about values, strong values, common values, things that we have fought a lot to be: independent, democratic, free, respectful of each other, with freedom of speech, and be proud of our countries. If you have all of this, then we are not afraid of anything. Thank you.